Hello and welcome to a setup video for the Midnight Technician. This video has been clipped together from my morning live stream. So if you missed that, I will link it in the description below. Other than that, I'm going to show you how to set up the Midnight Technician. Let's go. So now here's where you would just enter the URL. For me, I have another way to do it. I can come in here and just search for these because I'm part of the actual thing. But let's go with the repository URL and let's do this. Um, did I just type in midnight? Look at that, Midnight Technician. All right, so once we're in here, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pop out the back end and pop out the front end. I also do want to point out I did make a tech talk. This one here is so that we can have a discussion going in the GitHub. That was something else that I had done just to help with the community. So we're gonna come in here to we'll start with the back end first. So I'm just gonna take the link. Just gonna copy that, go to IntelliJ, paste it in, and we're gonna clone the project. And we'll clone everything into here. This one didn't ask me about trusting the project because I've already trusted this directory. So we're gonna let this import and set up. And then we'll get our database views all set up and connected. And there we go. So this was a fresh clone of the backend. So now, following these instructions, the next thing we need to do is get our databases all set up. So I'm going to pop into services, into source main resources. I'm going to pop into the SQL. So I'm going to pop into this first, into applications.properties. And because this is a SQL database with some Spring data source information, you'll see that there is a database button over here. So this allows me to just simply click it, and all of the data source information is auto-populated. I can press test connection, and we're succeeded. Now, I should probably point out that beforehand, before you do this, you do need to run Docker Compose. We use Docker so that we can spin up the databases. So here we have our Postgres database with a health check, and we have our Mongo database. The reason I don't have a health check on that is just to show you that you don't necessarily need it. So we're passing in our environment variables for our passwords and our username and passwords, which the way these are set up, you'll notice that it's using Postgres user, and then it has a colon, a hyphen, and a default. This is how this little hyphen, this little colon hyphen is how you specify that if this environment variable does not exist, use this as a default. So that's all I was doing here, was just giving people a way to have a environment variable that provides a default value if one does not exist. That being said, I probably have to update my env.example to include the Postgres and Mongo information. That also technically needs to be put there. Anyway, so you would hit this little up here. There's an icon that has two little plus or two little green play buttons. You would click that, and it will spin up a Docker connection here, which you'll see is this backend one, which has my if I expand it, has my Mongo database, and my Postgres database running in their own containers. So after you run this, it will reload, it will spin up your Docker container. Your PC should have virtualization turned on. I'm not going to go into how to turn that on because it's a BIOS setting, and I don't want to sit here and tell you how to get into your BIOS and change shit. So, yeah, just make sure you have virtualization turned on. You can check that. You can easily check that by going to your task manager, hopping into performance, checking out your CPU tab, and at the bottom, it'll say virtualization is either enabled or disabled. If it's enabled, you're good to go. Just install Docker, run this, and get yourself all set up. If you don't know how to set up Docker, let me know in the comments, and I'll make a video about how to get yourself all set up there. It is ridiculously simple. Yeah, so once you have your databases going, then you can come into the application.properties and get yourself connected to the Postgres database, which right now I actually have information put in here, which let's if I bring down this database, that should theoretically, yeah, get rid of that. Let me get rid of this. All right, so now if I come in here and if I hit this, you'll see that it'll go through and create, turn on, spin up, and now I have my Mongo and Postgres running. Now I don't know if I have the data in it because I don't remember if I have that separated or not, but we're gonna make a new connection to the database. It was successful because the database is turned on, so now we can come in here, and yeah, my data was still stored separately, so even though I took my database down, data is still stored. That's kind of the purpose of this. This is telling it that Mongo has its own space and its own data and its own stuff outside of the container. So even if you update your database, this is again why Docker is so great. But anyway, if you want me to do a video on Docker, I can do that in the future. But this is getting us set up. So into here, we'll get rid of the this, and you would just simply in here you would need to run this, but you need to connect with it. And I don't know why it's not popping up. It used to, initially, when I opened this up, it would pop up that I have a data schema, and it would allow me to run this. But either way, you would just run this stuff. You would just click on your database over here. There is a jump to query console where you can just copy all this, throw it in here, hit the green play button at the top, and it'll create and populate all of the Postgres data for you. Next after that is to set up the Mongo database. So this one is a little more fun. So this one here, we're going to copy this URL. We're going to go up here. We're going to create a new data source for Mongo database. And we're just going to paste it right here inside of the address or the URL. Click on test connection. Give it a moment, and it should successfully connect. So now I have this connecting, it's loading up, and inside this console here is where you would be entering these commands. So this is where you would copy this and say you want to use the midnight employee, which will then create these two collections or these two databases. Sorry. And then inside of that, you would then just do the two database creates or create collections, and that will create these individual collections here for you. so that you can now start hosting stuff to your database. So it's very simple, very straightforward. It does take a minute to get set up, and once you're all done, you're good for there, and that's your database is done. Next, we need to go into the environment variables. So this one is where we would go into the shared module, and I don't know why I did this. Don't grief me on it. I'll move it later to make it easier. But inside the shared module, there is a .env .example. If you open this up, you'll see that there's a Sentry auth token, a Sentry host, and a Sentry environment. These are the next variables that we need to set up. So how do we get these? We need to open up your browser, and we're going to pop over to sentry.io. You're gonna sign in or log in, whatever you do. If you have an account, sign in. If you don't, create one. All kinds of extra security there. So now from in here, you're going to create a project. In my case, I'm going to go look at projects, and I have two projects. I've got a private project that I'm doing, and I've got the Midnight Technician that I'm doing in this one. So in here, once you create it, you're going to be scrolling down, and you're going to look for your security auth token, and you're going to click to generate it. Then from there, you're going to copy that because you need it. You don't have to worry about the build script. I've already got that taken care of, and that's already in the project. So next, you're going to come down and you're going to take this URL that comes up. You're going to need to copy that because that is the host or DNS. And then you're going to take that information as your security token and your host. And we're going to go up into edit configurations. This is just for IntelliJ, by the way. You can just change the .env file to remove the .example. And on Linux machines, you can just install, or I forget how to do it on Windows. I don't shit with Windows very much other than my day-to-day stuff. But you can just assign this as your environments. But for us, we're going to come into here. We're going to pick our Spring Boot projects. We're going to take each of the individual, and I already did this and have my information. Yeah. So I've already got my information, so I just have it on my clipboard. So we're going to come up into more options, down to environment variables to turn them on. And then we're just going to, in here, you would use this little button to open up this interface, and you would just add in the token and the key, or the key value pairs here for your token and key. You would do that to add those all in. I've got mine copied in a string, so I'm just going to drop it in here. Make sure that in that environment is development for now. That's just because we're all in a development environment, not a production. This is because Sentry will actually help you sort things by development, by production, by testing, and like it'll help you sort things when you get errors. And I can do a whole video on what Sentry is, but that's kind of out of the scope of this topic right now. So getting the project set up, you're going to stick your environment variable into all of these services. So just give me a second here to fly through this. All right, so there's all that done so that my backend is now happy. And that's all there is to the setup. So from here, we can go into our services tab. And if you don't have Spring Boot in here already, you can just go to the plus sign, run configuration, scroll to the bottom, and find Spring Boot. You'll see that there are three different services here, or three different applications. These are microservices. So they all are. We can run them individually. It doesn't matter what order to run them in right now. There's no specific order. So technically, we can just click on the Spring Boot on the top, hit the plus button, or hit the play button, sorry, and it's going to fire up all three services one by one. You'll see it doing its magic there. Now you'll see that beside it, there's you're probably hard to see on my screen, but there's the employee service running on port 8082, services are running on 8080, and ticketing is running on 8081. So now next, we have all these services are running, as you can see. So the next mission is to get the front end running. So we're gonna go. Why did I close that? I'm going to go back into here and we're going to say new project from version control. We're going to go back to our browser. We're going to go to the front end. Yeah, this is the front end. And do the same thing. So we're going to copy this. We're going to drop it in here. Midnight Technician. This is going to go into the front end. Make sure I had that right this time. And we're going to clone this project. And here we go. Now we can pretty much ignore this README because we've already got our databases set up on our back end. This is going to tell us that we can connect to it here as well. And we very much can, again, connect to the database here if we want to. So once again, we will need to go into the website module here, and we will need to add the environment variables back into here as well, so that everything is happy. And now we can run the project. So if we come into here, again, if you don't have it here, run configurations, scroll down, Spring Boot. Now we have the website. So if we run the website, this should be all happy and smiley out of the box too. There we go. And this one you can see is running on port 80. So now all we have to do is just simply click on 80 and we are up and running. So now we're going to go create a new account. There we go. And there we go. Now I'm back to where I was, back to everything.